Hello and welcome to the first ever TunnelSnake podcast. On this first fine day, I'm joined by WoodenPotatoes, a proud member of Guild Wars community, and he makes up our first podcast, so big round of applause to him. So yeah, this is episode 1, TunnelSnake podcast. In future episodes we will have, we'll have Specman and all our other array of amazing people, but hopefully this intro won't put you off at all. It's literally me just trying to say, if you're looking at this from the future, because we've become ultra famous and everyone loves us, this is where it all started. So sit back, enjoy. When I cut it over, it's going to be straight into it. So just to reiterate, WoodenPotatoes, found at the YouTube WoodenPotatoes, and myself at TunnelSnake Gaming, youtube.com/TunnelSnake Gaming. So without further ado, here we are discussing the heroes in Nightfall campaign of Guild Wars. So, take it away past me. Okay, so starting off we have Kos. Now Kos is the main warrior here, and he has a pretty interesting backstory, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's the first hero, so when Nightfall was coming out, everybody was really excited about heroes and what they could do. And when you started Nightfall, Kos was there right from the start. He was always with you, and that kind of stays the same the whole way through Nightfall. So as a result, he as a hero gets quite well fleshed out. He's not very two-dimensional. He's got a lot of stuff going on with him. So he's an honourable guy, but he's also a bit underhanded, isn't he? He's got associates in the underworld and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got links with the Corsairs. Yeah, and with Marguerite, of course. There is definitely a relationship there. That they have had business in the past.
Yeah. So Kos, you start off Nightfall in Istan, obviously, but Kos is from Corner. And he grew up, well, I'm not sure if he entirely grew up with this girl, but another hero who you meet later on called Meloni, who's also from Corner. And yeah, they have this thing goes on that actually eventually comes out of the Bone Palace. And it is pretty good. I like the way that they tried to do something like that in Nightfall. It's pretty cool.
I mean, the only really thing you have about Kos's past is done in a little quest line that you don't really see. It's not ever pointed to or really referenced a lot, is it?
Yeah.
And it does concern his origins.
Yeah, so this is a big problem sort of with the Guild Wars game, is that there's all these really cool, interesting side quests, but nothing ever points you to them or really encourages players to go off and do them. But there is one particular one where you meet this farmer, and at first he doesn't really like you, and it doesn't seem to have anything to do with Kos. But eventually this big long quest chain unfolds, and you find out that you're actually working with Kos's father, and there's all this really interesting kind of storyline going on with him. Which is great, I think, because he's one of my favourite heroes, just because you get so fond of him, where you've been with him for so long.
Yeah, and also, he's the warrior, he's the, the stereotypical tank class that you would have in any other MMO. He's one of these people that you do need, or some new person's coming in perception that you would need that guy. So I think he's really important for the development as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was quite smart for them to start off by giving you a warrior, just because he's quite versatile and he can do a lot of different things from you. You actually notice, as we get into some of these other heroes in a minute, that they give you 2 monks quite quickly. And that was a very good design choice, because this is a game where, particularly when Nightfall first came out, people generally ran 2 monks in their teams. So you quite quickly get 2 hero monks to fill in those positions.
Yeah, and in fact, we'll talk about Dunkoro first, actually, when we talk about these. Now, he's just a straightforward healing pres monk, isn't he? I mean, he's nothing special, no huge gimmick like with the protection monk.
Well, yeah, his starting build, yeah, it's all healing pres stuff, and he's pretty cool. He's when you meet him, he's like the tactician of the team. This is kind of the vibe he gives off, and you don't realise it till near the end of the game, but you actually don't learn very much about his backstory at all. But you just kind of go along with it, and you don't really think about it until near the end of the game. You find out that he's got a son who died, which is pretty cool.
But it's interesting because he sent his son off to, I think it's the Tomb of the Primeval Kings, where he gets killed. So he has this kind of internal guilt because his son never came back from that.
Yeah, exactly, and he never quite knew where he died. That's why he says he always has a plan. That's why he becomes the tactician, and he becomes a great one, doesn't he? He's a fantastic one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I hope that's something we see more in Guild Wars 2. This development of someone who can do tactics, and so far it's kind of, I think the warriors in Guild Wars 2 do have the little buff banner things, but that's all I've really seen.
Well, the Guardian is typically.
But we don't know anything about heroes. Oh yes, the Guardian. Yeah.
Who likes to control the
Completely
battlefield.
forgot about the Guardian.
Yeah, and he
Exactly.
gets all these things that sort of create walls that move enemies in specific positions that the Guardian wants, and he can protect. So I think that's kind of where that's coming back through, which should be quite fun to play. The Guardian's definitely an interesting profession, but we're getting way off topic.
We're getting really way off topic. Yeah. Right, Maloney. Maloney is Koss's main love interest.
Yeah, pretty much.
And she is a dervish, so that's it's the new class for one that people really want to play, which I think was a good choice by them, because the dervish is, again, versatile, it's melee, and, it gives them an opportunity to play with the new skills anyway. I mean, the thing is, you don't get a paragon until way mid to late game.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea as well, because obviously they released Nightfall, you got 2 new professions. They give you a dervish quite early. You meet Maloney, she joins your team, so you can play with her skills. They give you a dervish quite early, which has got all these new skills which people aren't going to be familiar with. But they don't give you a paragon as well. They actually wait with the paragon. I think that was a good idea, because giving you both of the new professions very quickly could, prove to be quite alienating for people. They could be like, oh god, there's so many new skills, I'm not sure about them. But by spacing them out like that, I'm not sure why they chose dervish first and not paragon. That's an interesting to think about. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's because they're melee, so anyone from, if you're playing a ranger for instance, you've got that kind of wall in front of you, and you've got a wall set up. I mean, you don't really get another melee until Goran later on, really.
Who's optional.
So, that's a great play by them, I think. Who is optional, yeah, you could easily miss him.
That's good. That's a fair point. So
yeah.
So
yeah, you gone?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So who's next?
Talcora's next, and Talcora is the fourth of the ones that you're gonna get on Istan. Well, technically the fourth one you're gonna get on Istan, and the last, kind of. But we'll explore that in a second. Now, Talcora is a princess, but you don't find out for a rather long time, actually, when you think about how long you go through with her.
Yeah, which is great. Again, it's the same kind of thing I was saying with Dunkoro, that you don't really know anything about these people, and suddenly there's this huge revelation. And yeah, in Talcora's case, you find out she's the princess of Abbey, but she didn't like that life. And her main, all the heroes, it's quite good in Nightfall, because they all have a pretty decent motivation for coming along with you, and some are quite unique, as we'll talk about soon with Norgu. But Talcora, her motivation for coming with you is she didn't like the life of a princess, so she didn't tell you about it. She just wanted adventure, she wanted to see the world, and that's kind of why she comes with you, which I think is quite cool. She doesn't get as much attention in the story as I think she should. She's another one of the monks, by the way, so that's the 2 monks straight away. But one interesting thing in her story, she gets...
Yeah, she's the protection monk.
Yeah. But one interesting thing in her story
so,
is...
I mean, that's...
she ends up becoming sort of a part of the whole Maloney Koss thing. So you're actually introduced to all 3 of those characters quite quickly.
Yeah, and that triangle kind of lasts through the game, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a really interesting character. She's from this far-off land, and when you first find her, you think she's a spy. Am I right? Do you think she's... I haven't done it in so long. You don't trust her.
It's something to do with the Corsairs, isn't it? The Corsairs.
Yeah.
I think
there's some really interesting storyline anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Go play it. You'll find out.
I think we trust her, but our commanders don't, or something.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to play it, and then you go off and do some quests and gain her trust. So next you have Jin and Susuke. Now these are the 2 kind of on Istan, kind of on corner people, because technically the mission you get them in, that's on corner, but the outpost is on Istan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so their big unique thing, though, I would say, is that they're optional. They're optional characters that you can easily miss, can't you?
Well, I don't think you can easily miss them. I mean, I think in that mission, that outpost is quite self-contained, but you could easily not do them and carry on with mission. Now, Susuke is actually one of my favourite characters, because though he doesn't have a lot of depth, he does have this very straightforward personality, which I quite like, which is burn stuff, have some fun with it.
Yeah, he's quite...
And, that comes across nicely, and also it gives you the option to AoE stuff down.
Yeah, he's quite cavalier and quite funny. Yeah, and as from a gameplay perspective, he's definitely quite handy early on. I mean, elementalists can do a lot of damage, and to when you've got a lot of foes around, and that can really help your team out if you're using him. So yeah, I would definitely, you get the choice. You can only pick one. You can pick Jin or Susuke, and I would definitely pick Susuke only because you're going to get, you could possibly get another ranger quite quickly anyway. I mean, you can get another elementalist pretty soon.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's something to consider, but
yeah, you get it straight after. Yeah, and so you got those two. So you land in corner, and you go out, you set up this base, and straight away you're held to ransom by Zed.
yeah, this elementalist, and he's actually not a human, is he? I think that's quite cool that they did that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I think he's really the, well, arguably the only non-human hero in Nightfall. And yeah, no, it's interesting because it gives him his own little unique thing. Now, it gave him a little bit of trouble getting the armor for him, of course, because his armor sets do look quite samey, I think.
Yeah.
But he's not overly nice to you.
No, to put it one way.
No, he mistrusts humans already, and he's been told, you know, go and get their help. And he doesn't do it nicely. And I think the Master of Whispers actually directs you there, doesn't he?
Yeah. So when you first meet Zed, he begrudgingly comes with you, basically, because of some other mysterious person, the Master of Whispers. But I like this about Zed. You know, you get so many heroes in your party are just unquestionably nice guys, and they go with you with no qualms about it. But Zed, there's this really kind of cool thing where...
Yeah, like Kos, Talcora,
yeah.
all the Zaician people.
Yeah, but with Zed, he's begrudging.
But no, he is gruff. He doesn't really want to be there. Yeah.
Which is cool. Which is very cool.
So... yeah, so moving on, you have your first choice. Now, in factions, they thought, okay, Luxon, Kurzik split up. And I think that was a great choice by them, but then they developed on it. And they went really quite cleverly, I think, and they split you up to choose between Marguerite and the Master of Whispers. Now, the Master of Whispers you met meeting Zed, and Marguerite, I believe you... do you meet her before? You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Because
Marguerite,
she gets you back to Istan again.
Yeah, Marguerite actually helps you get out of corner after the storyline takes you to corner and your failed attack. She helps you beforehand, admittedly only for gold, so she wouldn't have any more part to play, but then she does sort of make another surprise appearance and ends up being a much bigger character than you might have originally taken her for. She appears alongside this Master of Whispers, and you're forced to make this choice, where you can pick one of the heroes. But there's a lot more weight to the choice, isn't there? Because depending on the hero, it changes a lot of the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, you do different missions with them, like with Marguerite, you go and break out Cormier. However, with Master of Whispers, you go and deal with this thing called the Drought, which he thinks is a much more immediate threat.
Exactly.
Because the Master of Whispers is the head of the Order of Whispers, and they deal with all these demons and stuff, trying to invade and come in, and do a ton of nasty stuff.
Yeah, but Marguerite, on the other hand, she, and in fact, I think she's got it right. She actually, Marguerite wants you to go to Gandara with her. We want to go there to help free Cormier. Marguerite really is only out for herself most of the way through the storyline. She's only out for herself. She just wants treasure.
Yeah, I mean, all the way through that mission, she's thinking, okay, let's get the, I think it's the glaive, is it?
Diadem of Lady
They
Glaive,
get like
yeah.
a cup or something that she's, yeah, it's the Diadem of Lady Glaive, there you go. And she's, you know, obsessing about this all the way through the mission.
Yeah, and that happens further on as well. I mean, it's always about her. Until sort of later on in Vabi when she says money's not everything. But again, it's kind of like the Zed thing, if you ask me.
Yeah, she has this huge character change.
Yeah, yeah. While Zed
yeah,
doesn't.
And I mean, the Master of Whispers, I think, has more long-standing things because you know, you meet the Lightbringer title there, and that helps you out a lot. And then you can take that through, and you can take it on to the very, very end game.
Yeah. Of course, Master of Whispers...
and I think that's a good call by them, introducing something.
Yeah, Master of Whispers, of course, is very nice, though, because as a Necromancer hero, that makes him very handy for the gameplay style stuff. I mean, there's just so much Necromancer heroes can do in this game. Most people run just 3 Necromancers. So, generally, people like to pick... if they're not interested in the story at all, they like to pick the Master of Whispers, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, Master Whispers gives most benefits straight away. I mean, Margaret arguably has a better story, in my opinion. Simply because you go and you have some interaction with the next two characters, actually, which is Gorin and Norgu. I mean, with Marguerite, you have more interaction with Gorin, Master of Whispers with Norgu, because you do missions alongside them.
Mm-hmm.
However, Gorin and Norgu are not obligatory, they're optional.
Yeah, they're more
and quite
optionals.
easy to miss, therefore. Yay!
Yeah, I was waiting for someone
now,
to say that, yeah.
Let's talk about Gorin first of all.
Alright, okay.
Yeah. So Gorin, first of all, he's this stereotypical, stupid, follow orders kind of guy.
Yeah, he's an oaf.
He has a hammer, you know, this kind of blunt instrument, which has an interesting kind of storyline behind it.
Yeah, Gorin's kind of weird because he's just like this oaf, and no sooner than you've met him, you kind of complete a mission with him, and he kind of does something smart, which kind of throws his person out of the window a little bit. But actually, once you complete Nightfall, there are some additional quests you can do with him, where he hatches a dragon and all these kind of interesting little things. So I think, and it's the same with Norgu as well. Both of these heroes get more exposure after the game's being completed. During the actual thing, they very much seem like side characters that don't have much involvement, except for, of course, the missions before you get them.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something added in. Like without Norgu, for instance, you wouldn't have another you wouldn't have a Mesmer at all. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
and that could have long-term implications for you know, all of Nightfall's storyline.
Exactly, yeah.
And with Gorin, you get another warrior,
Yeah, so, I mean,
which
from
is interesting because then you got another wall.
yeah, so from a gameplay point, I would say Norgu's probably the better choice, especially since, you know, Mesmers are updated. Well, not recently anymore, but, you know, they're still very, very, very good in PvE, and a hero will help you out immensely. I mean, it really will, a Mesmer one. Way more than I'd say two warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I once saw people running a kind of a hex build where they would just stack up hexes and then just shatter hexes, and it would just take them straight down. But let's move on nice and quickly. Morgan. Now, I'm going to just sit back and let you talk about Morgan, because he is such a key character that I know that you know a bit more about than me.
Okay, well, right, so as you're going through the storyline, you're hearing, you sometimes get these cutscenes where you get to see things that your characters don't see. So you get to see what the enemy is talking about. And Morgan is a general in the enemy army. And you kind of see him talking to his war marshal, and he seems through and through a very, very bad character. But he also gets a lot of exposure as you're going through the storyline, because you're seeing him quite a lot, and he keeps popping up. And there is a point in the story where, you know, you really do feel like your blood is boiling because you just don't like him at all. But he has a personal side as well. I mean, he's a really devout follower at a specific temple, and he's eventually betrayed by his war marshal. And a really, really cool thing happens where there's this big villain the whole way through the story, and he ends up joining your cause. And for that reason, I think he's second only to Kos, being a hero that gets the most exposure and is the most fleshed out. And it's so, I just love the way that he ends up joining your team. He's just brilliant. So yeah, I really do enjoy that, and he ends up fighting against
And he's
the
the
person he was
Paragon.
with.
And yeah, no, it is important to note that he is the Paragon. He's the new class. So by now you've got, I think you've got one of every class there. I mean, I can't, apart from the Ritualist and the Assassins, of course. You've got one of every class. You're only missing the Paragon. And unless you're playing Paragon yourself, you've never really, you've never really encountered this if you're playing alone. So I think that's a really good play by them. You know, you've got everything sorted, and then you can just put him straight into the team. He's also now, after the more than 4 heroes, more than 3 heroes update, he's the first one that goes over the hero limit.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Which is quite, yeah. So you have to make a bit of a tough choice then, you know. And I think that, that's unintentionally working well with his story, that, do you really want him?
Yeah, I never thought of it
And
like that,
in the end,
yeah.
it's Talkorov that sticks up for him because they're both Fabian.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, I mean, that's completely unintentional, I think.
Yeah,
but it does
yeah.
make a, it does make you think.
Yeah.
So, the very last hero in the game is my favourite. Well, second favourite, maybe. And that is Raza.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Now, he's really cool. he's human in gameplay terms, but he's not in storyline terms. He's actually made from the mists, or well, it's rather cloudy, isn't it? Because spoilers, but you do kill Abaddon, and then you kind of here you go. Here's his little, Abaddon's little secret cupboard, and he's just sat in there, just doing nothing.
Yeah. So when you meet him, he talks about how he hints at the idea that Abaddon had sort of been summoned Raza from the mists, and he was training him up. That he's a demon. Well, he's actually called a construct of the mists, and he kind of comes out and. Since Abaddon's fall, he's kind of just sort of been left on his own, and he doesn't have a purpose anymore. And he comes out with the most funny but bizarre comments, because he tries to mimic human behaviours and emotions and things like that, but he just can't do it very well because he's not human, so he doesn't understand a lot of things that come very naturally to other people. So he's incredibly smart, he's a powerful ritualist, but he's just plain cool, and he's an immortal. So he's what I like the idea of Raza most is that he's a character that could potentially still be around in 250 years time, namely Guild Wars 2.
Exactly, and this is the main thing with him, because he doesn't really age. He may have been in that little cupboard for hundreds of years alone. So for him to still be around in 250 years' time is completely, that's fine. That in terms of storyline, that's fine. So if we do ever go back into the mists, then that's something to link to. It's also, I'm 80% sure there'll be something in Guild Wars 2 about your hero. Now we already know that the Hall of Monuments does come back a little bit. But I think there'll be something, there was once this great hero who did all this and this and this, because you've impacted so much on the storyline of the world that, you can't just glance over it.
Of course, the problem
is...
And
when we get onto the Eye of the North heroes, there is one which does appear a little bit.
Alright, go for it then.
Of course, the problem is...
Oh, I was going to say...
No. I'm pretty much...
The problem with referencing the hero from Guild Wars 1 is that, it's an online game. There were millions of these heroes. So I think it would be very hard for them to sort of wink to the hero from Guild Wars 1 in a satisfying way. We can see things like... you're about to mention Jorah, weren't you? Yeah, that's actually a nice segue. So yeah, what we actually see is something that we do in Guild Wars 1, but you can see one of our heroes that we meet in Eye of the North gets the credit for it, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If they credit, that would be the best way to do it. I mean, sure, with the Hall of Monuments, there is a way to do it, but I don't know. I can't see it really going without at least a little nod. Because you do have new people, of course.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if, we saw a bunch of graves, perhaps, and you see Eve, you see Menlo, you see Sin, and all that lot, all in their graves, and all their graves are marked. And then maybe, this is just an example, but then maybe next to that grave, you'd see another grave, but the stone on it's broken, so you can't see the name.
Which is the unnamed hero or something.
Yeah, but it's like a wink saying, this
for instance, yeah, but you have, Tarai Ossa comes back as the ghostly hero, He's not named in Prophecies, I don't think, or a lot. He's always known as the ghostly hero. That is his name. And,
well, yeah, he mentions
something like that could happen. You never know.
Yeah, so we could be around as a ghost. That's an interesting thought, actually, that we could still... death, when in Guild Wars, when I look at it, death seems quite weird, because... You look at... Oh, I'm kind of we're getting way too far away from ourselves here. Let's just go to the heroes.
We're getting way off topic. We're 22 minutes in. Let's just, let's wrap this up and shove it on to the next episode, where we do not have as many to talk about. So, quickly wrap it up. Olias, however you want to say it. He's the Death Magic Minion Master Necromancer that you get in Kryta. If you've got both the original Guild Wars campaign and Nightfall, you can travel from one to the other and go and fetch Olias, which is a great way to get you to cross campaigns where you wouldn't otherwise need to.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a great way to introduce people who played Nightfall into the previous plots, and just to give people more reasons to go between the campaigns. I love quests that do that sort of spread through two things. And Elias himself, he's got a cool story, I think. He was a member of a faction that we were fighting with in a previous game, and he's just kind of got all this depth to him. He's cool. I know why a lot of people would like him, because he loves the god of death, and he's all that kind of character, which I really enjoy. So yeah, and again, he's an
And he's got
necromancer.
some of the most cool armor in the game. I mean, I'm just going to stick my head up and say, you know, coolest armor in the game with a skull on his shoulder.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's
that
pretty
is
badass.
easily, yeah. And finally we have Zenmei, which I've put last because she's alphabetically, and because she kind of fits into Olias's little category, but you have to go to factions to get her.
Yeah, exactly. And again, she is a previous member of a faction you were fighting before, which is a great little parallel between both of those.
Yeah, the Amphar, which are like this gang, and she's I forget the actual term for it, but she's a masterless assassin. And yep, she's the assassin hero that you get in Nightfall, and therefore the only assassin hero that you could get. Unfortunately, she's not that used, because assassin heroes, they're not the most intelligent. Like, I play an assassin, and you do need to have a little bit of heads up to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so the problem is
especially
they
if
do
you've
skill
got, for instance,
chains,
2
don't they?
offhand attacks. Yes. So it can be a little bit tricky, which is why I think they've only got 2 in the entire game, where they have more for the other people. So
Oh, you know what we didn't
I
mention
think that
about
about wraps
Raza?
it up, really.
It's quite important that Raza can change his primary
Yeah.
profession. Starts as a ritualist, but he can change it.
Yes.
So yeah, bear that
So
in mind,
Raz is
folks.
the only one in the entire game which can change both primary and secondary.
Yeah,
So that's pretty important, because then you can run
all kinds of crazy
4
stuff.
necromancers
Yeah, if you wanted.
effectively.
Yeah, which many people
Yeah, you can do so much. Many people do that, and it does destroy everything.
Yeah.
So we do have to wrap this up now, I think, because we have gone. I was going to do 1 minute per hero, but we've gone up to 25 minutes now. So let's wrap it up.
You can always cut out the bad stuff.
It was great to. No, I'm leaving that in now. So yeah, it was great to have you here for a little bit of a chat for this little TunnelSnake gaming thing, and
I said I'm coming.
I don't know if this will be going up on your channel at all. You don't have to answer that now, don't worry.
Sorry, no. Say again.
So yeah, you don't have. I'm not sure how this is going to go across, whether you're going to put it up, but we're certainly going to assemble this and see what happens with it. Now, don't forget to visit my channel at youtube.com/TunnelSnakeGaming, and your channel at.
I'm at WoodenPotatoes, so yeah. Come check me out. I'm not very good at advertising myself.
He's done. He's done. I'll do it for you. Look, he's done 3 of the campaigns. He's probably seen more of a game than anyone I know, just by the sheer amount of side quests and stuff he puts in. Easily one of the most prolific YouTubers. A video at least every day, and with guides of most of the end game stuff. So yep, tune in very soon for his Eye of the North.
You don't have to advertise this so
playthrough.
much. It's alright.
So yeah, go do that. Great. Okay, so tune in to next episode where we will handle the Eye of the North heroes.
Woo, Eye of the North.
And there's a couple less, so we'll have more time for us to talk. And with that, we will include Mox and Thackeray as well. So thanks very much for listening in, guys. Yeah, see you next time.
See you later.